All right, so we're ready for a deep dive into U.S. retirement plans.
Sounds good.
We've got some YouTube videos, a cheat sheet, all sorts of things.
Okay.
And it seems like maybe the classic three-legged stool of retirement planning is maybe getting a little shaky.
Yeah, that's a good observation. What's really interesting here is how this shift really kind of gained momentum in the late 20th century. We really saw a big transition from those traditional pensions to the 401ks, which everyone knows now.
Right.
And actually, one of our sources from CNBC said there's like $6.5 trillion just sitting in 401ks.
Wow, $6.5 trillion.
Yeah.
Is that enough, though? Like, are people actually prepared to manage that?
That's the big question.
That same CNBC video, they mentioned that, like, 2/3 of Americans don't even really understand how their 401k works.
Yeah, that knowledge gap is a big part of why that stool feels so wobbly. So let's kind of take a step back and understand how we got here in the first place. Before the 1980s, most Americans relied on pensions, right?
Yeah, pensions, those sound pretty straightforward. Your company just, took care of everything.
Exactly. So it's called a defined benefit plan.
Okay.
Like a pension. Your employer calculated your benefits based on how long you worked, your salary.
Gotcha.
They took on the risk, and you knew exactly what you were getting when you retired.
So what happened? Why'd we move away from that?
Well, pensions got really expensive for employers. And then there was this tax code change in 1978 that opened up a loophole. And this benefits consultant named Ted Benna, he's now known as the father of the 401k. He saw an opportunity, and boom, the 401k was born.
So instead of my employer guaranteeing a certain amount, the responsibility shifts to me, the employee.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's called a defined contribution plan.
Defined contribution, okay.
You put in a portion of your salary before taxes, and your employer might match some of that.
Okay.
The money gets invested, but how much you end up with really depends on how the market does. Yeah.
So it's like we've traded predictability for potential.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It sounds like this shift put a lot more pressure on people to become investors.
Yeah, for sure. And CNBC pointed out that 8% of employers actually cut 401k contributions in 2020.
Oh, wow.
So if that keeps happening, it could be really bad for retirees.
Yeah, that's not good. So it sounds like a 401k can be great, but it's definitely not a perfect solution.
Yeah, no silver bullet.
So let's get into the mechanics of these plans.
Okay, sounds good.
One of our sources, a video from HCM Simplified, did a good job of breaking it all down.
Okay.
So let's demystify this 401k thing.
All right, so there's two main types of contributions you can make. Traditional and Roth.
Okay.
Traditional contributions, they're made with pre-tax dollars.
Okay.
So basically you get a tax break right now, but you'll pay taxes on it when you take it out in retirement.
So it's I'm delaying the taxes. So if I think I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I retire, that's the way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Now with Roth, you put money in after taxes.
Okay.
So there's no deduction now, but when you take the money out in retirement, it's tax-free.
No, that's pretty appealing, especially if I think I'll be in a higher tax bracket later.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there an easy way to figure out which one is better for me?
It really depends on your situation and what you think taxes will be like in the future.
Okay.
The video from HCM Simplified, they used an example of a $5,000 monthly income.
Okay.
And they showed how the take-home pay is different. You should check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Now let's talk about employer matching. That sounds great, but I'm a little fuzzy on how that all works.
Yeah, it's a great perk. It can really add up. So basically, your employer puts in extra money based on what you contribute.
So free money.
Pretty much, yeah. But there's different ways they can do it.
Okay.
Some employers match a percentage of your contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Others give you a flat amount, and some have tiers where the match changes based on how much you put in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The HVM Simplified video showed an example in Excel to explain it. But basically, you really got to understand how your employer's matching works.
So I can get the most free money.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about these catch-up contributions? That sounds like some kind of bonus round.
Yeah, you could say that. So basically, once you hit a certain age, you can put in even more money.
Okay.
If you're 50 or older, you can add an extra $6,500 on top of the regular limit.
So it's like a chance to boost my savings as I get closer to retirement.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, before we move on, I want to make sure we're not only talking about people with 401ks.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Our cheat sheet mentions a whole bunch of other retirement plan types.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. So you got 403B plans for people who work in nonprofits and government.
Okay.
457 plans for certain government and nonprofit employees. And then, of course, there's individual retirement accounts, or IRAs.
Right.
And even health savings accounts, or HSAs. Those can actually help with retirement, too, under the right circumstances.
Wow, so many options. It seems like there's a plan for just about everyone.
Yeah, that's the idea. But it also shows how complicated the system is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one right answer. Finding the best plan for you really depends on your situation. And, not everyone even has access to all these options.
Yeah, that brings us back to that statistic from CNBC that half of all private sector workers don't have any plan at all.
Right.
That's a lot of people facing a really tough future.
Yeah, it's a big problem. There are a few reasons for it. Small employers, they don't always offer plans.
Mm-hmm.
Part-time workers are often left out. And some plans have these long vesting periods. You have to work for a company for years before you can get the full benefit of the employer match.
Oh, wow. That doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. So even if I feel like I'm on the right track with my own plan, it makes you wonder about all the people who aren't.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes you think about economic fairness and all of that.
Absolutely. So are there any solutions being worked on?
Yeah, there are some things happening.
Okay, that's good.
Some states have these auto-enrollment programs for people who don't have a plan through their employer.
Oh, interesting.
And then the Secure Act, which was passed a few years ago, that's designed to make it easier for small businesses to offer retirement plans.
So there's hope for the future.
Yeah, definitely.
But even with those solutions, it seems like there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Okay, well, maybe we can talk more about some specific strategies for making the most of retirement savings in the next part.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm excited to learn how to make my retirement plan a masterpiece, not a finger painting.
Aha, I like that.
Okay, so we've talked about all these different plans and like who has access to them.
Right.
But now I want to know about strategies. Like how can I actually make the most of my retirement savings?
Well, you're asking all the right questions. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is start saving early.
I know. I always hear that, but why is it so important?
It all comes down to compound interest. It's like, imagine a snowball rolling down a hill.
Okay.
The earlier you start, the more time it has to grow, right?
Okay, yeah.
It just picks up more and more snow as it goes. Even small amounts, if you save consistently over time, can turn into a lot of money by the time you retire.
Okay, I'm starting to see the snowball thing. So even if I can only save a little bit right now, it's still worth it.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps.
Okay, good to know.
And as you move up in your career and hopefully earn more, you can always increase how much you're saving.
Yeah, that makes sense. I already feel like I'm kind of shifting my mindset.
Good.
What else should I be thinking about?
Another really important thing is asset allocation.
Asset allocation. Okay, that sounds complicated.
It's not as bad as it sounds. It's basically how you spread out your investments.
Okay.
Like stocks, bonds, real estate. It's like that saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, I got you. So like by diversifying, I'm spreading out the risk.
Exactly. Different types of investments, they do well at different times. Sometimes stocks are booming and bonds are kind of lagging behind. Other times it's the opposite.
Right.
So if you spread out your money, you're less likely to see huge swings in your portfolio.
Okay, so it's about finding the right mix for how much risk I'm comfortable with.
Exactly.
And how long I have until I retire.
Exactly. If you're younger, you have more time to recover from any losses, so you can handle a little more risk. But as you get closer to retirement, you might want to play it safer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Put more money into bonds, things like that.
Got it. Okay, so our cheat sheet mentions some tools to help with all of this. One that caught my eye is something called Morningstar by all accounts.
Oh, interesting.
What is that?
So Morningstar, they're a really well-known investment research company.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that Morningstar, by all accounts, is like a feature you can get on those online portals where you manage your retirement account.
Got it.
It probably gives you, like, real-time info on how your investments are doing.
Oh, that sounds really helpful. I like having all that info, like, right there. I have to admit, though, I sometimes just avoid thinking about retirement altogether.
I get it. It can feel really far off.
It does.
But trust me, the sooner you start planning, the better.
Okay, you've convinced me. But what are some good ways to, like, stay motivated and actually stick to my plan?
One thing that can be really helpful is to actually picture your retirement goals.
Okay.
Like, how do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to live? What do you want to do? If
Yeah.
you have a clear picture of what you're working towards, saving and planning can feel a lot more real.
I love that. It's like, it's more than just numbers on a spreadsheet.
Exactly. It's about creating the life you want.
Yeah, that's a good point. But let's be real. Not everyone has the same opportunities when it comes to retirement planning.
That's true. We touched on this a little earlier, but it's worth talking about why some people get left behind.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
Like we said, small employers, they don't always offer plans. Part-time workers are often left out. And those vesting requirements, they can be a real problem for people who switch jobs a lot.
Yeah, it's like the system was designed for a time when people stayed at the same company forever.
Exactly. It doesn't really fit with how people work today.
Right. So how do we fix that?
Well, some states are trying to do their part.
Okay.
Like California, Illinois, Oregon, they've set up these auto-enrollment programs for people who don't have a plan at work.
Auto-enrollment? What's that?
It's pretty simple. Basically, you're automatically signed up for a retirement savings plan unless you say no.
Oh.
It helps a lot of people start saving because they don't have to go out of their way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like saving is the default option.
Exactly. And the Secure Act that we talked about, that's also trying to make it easier for small businesses to offer plans.
Oh, right. Remind me, what's the Secure Act all about?
One of the big things is that it's pushing for these multiple employer plans, or MEPs.
Mm-hmm.
It lets small businesses team up and offer plans together. It's cheaper and easier that way.
So it's like a group effort to make retirement savings more accessible.
Exactly.
That's a good idea. Now, our cheat sheet also mentions something called Waysaver PH2. I have no idea what that is.
That's an interesting one. I think based on what else is on the sheet, it might be something to do with commuter benefits.
Commuter benefits.
Yeah, like pre-tax deductions for things like bus fare or train tickets.
Okay, so not directly related to retirement, but still a way to help people save money.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about investment strategies. What are some important things to keep in mind?
Well, one of the biggest things is to think long-term.
Okay.
Retirement planning. It's not about getting rich quick. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Don't panic if the market goes down a little bit. Just stay focused on the long game.
So, like, don't fry out over every little dip.
Exactly. Time is on your side. The longer you're invested, the more chance your money has to grow.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, how about risk tolerance? How much risk should I be taking?
That's a tough one. It's a really personal decision.
Mm-hmm.
There's no right answer for everyone. It depends on your finances, your goals, and how comfortable you are with the market going up and down.
Right.
Some people are fine with a lot of risk. Others want to play it safe.
So it's about finding what works for me.
Exactly.
Okay, are there any strategies you recommend for people who don't want to spend all their time, like, managing their investments?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Target date funds are great for that.
Target date funds? Okay.
They automatically adjust how your money is invested as you get closer to retirement.
Oh, interesting.
So you don't have to worry about rebalancing your portfolio or anything like that.
That sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty hands-off.
Cool. Any other strategies I should know about?
Dollar cost averaging is another good one.
Dollar cost averaging, all right.
Basically, you invest a set amount of money at regular intervals, no matter what the market's doing.
So, like, I just keep investing the same amount every month.
Exactly. It helps you average out your purchase price over time and can potentially lower your risk.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about fees? Are there any, like, hidden costs I should be looking out for?
Oh yeah, fees are definitely something to watch out for. All retirement plans have costs, administrative fees, investment management fees, sometimes even hidden fees. You really got to understand the fees before you sign up for anything.
So I should shop around and compare.
Yeah, definitely. And don't be afraid to ask questions, maybe even try to negotiate lower fees if you can.
Okay, good to know. So what about, like, when can I actually start using my retirement savings? Are there rules about that?
The general rule is that you can start taking money out without penalty once you turn 59 and a half.
59 and a half. Got it. So there's a magic age for retirement withdrawals.
Yeah, pretty much. But there are some exceptions, like some plans let you take money out early for certain things like medical expenses or buying a house.
Okay, good to know.
Things like that.
Now, what about those required minimum distributions?
Yes, RMDs.
I've heard about those. What are they all about?
So once you hit 72, you generally have to start taking at least a certain amount of money out of your traditional 401k and IRA accounts each year.
So even if I don't need the money yet, I have to start taking it out.
That's the rules to make sure people don't just avoid paying taxes forever. But Roth IRAs, those aren't subject to RMDs while you're still alive.
Oh, interesting. So Roth accounts have some tax advantages later on.
Exactly.
Good to know. Okay, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to go back to something we talked about before, the emotional side of retirement planning.
Yeah, that's such an important part.
It can be stressful thinking about all this stuff.
It really can.
So any tips for, like, managing that stress and staying positive?
Well, one thing that can help is to break down your goals into smaller steps.
Okay.
It makes the whole process feel less overwhelming. Instead of focusing on this huge, far-off thing, just focus on taking small actions, one step at a time.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Talk to a financial advisor or maybe friends and family who've already gone through this, or join some online groups.
Good point, yeah. It doesn't have to be a solo mission. Okay, before we move on to the last part, I'm curious, if 401ks are having problems, like some experts say, what could the future of retirement planning look like?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll definitely explore in the next part.
Okay, I'm excited to hear it. Okay, so we've really dug into the history of these retirement plans, how 401ks work, and even some smart ways to save.
Right.
But now I kind of want to look ahead. What's the future of all this? Like, what's coming next for retirement planning?
Well, it's a pretty exciting time to be thinking about retirement, actually. The traditional ways are definitely changing, and there's some really cool ideas coming out.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of innovations? What are you talking about?
Well, one thing that's getting a lot of attention is this move towards, like, personalized retirement solutions.
Personalized retirement solutions. Okay, what does that even mean?
It's all about using technology and data to create plans that are specific to you, to your needs and goals.
Okay.
Imagine like a retirement plan that's custom made just for you.
Okay, yeah.
Taking into account all your details, how much risk you're comfortable with, what you want to do with your life.
Well, like a custom-made retirement roadmap.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And it goes beyond just investments, too. It can include things like healthcare planning, housing options, even what you're going to do for fun. It's about looking at the whole picture of your retirement.
Right, because retirement's not just about money. It's about, like, living a good life.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of, our cheat sheet mentions something called a confidence builder roadmap.
Huh. Interesting.
I wonder what that could be.
That sounds like it's all about, like, making people feel more secure about their retirement plans.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe it's about creating new products or services that are more transparent, that give people more peace of mind.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people have anxiety about retirement planning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything that can help with that is a good thing.
For sure. And speaking of things that can help, technology is becoming a really big part of retirement planning these days.
Yeah, tech seems to be changing everything.
It really is.
So how is it affecting retirement planning?
Well, for one thing, there's the rise of robo-advisors.
Robo-advisors, okay.
They use algorithms to basically manage your investments for you.
Got it.
They can make investing a lot easier and cheaper for people who maybe can't afford a traditional financial advisor.
So that could really open up investing to a lot more people.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And then there's all the apps and websites that make it so much easier to track your savings, plan for retirement, and get advice.
So tech can make it more user-friendly, affordable, accessible.
Exactly.
That's great. But what about the government? Are there any new laws or policies coming that could change things?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk about that right now.
Okay.
Lawmakers are looking at ways to help more people get access to retirement plans, encourage people to save more, and strengthen Social Security.
So it sounds like there's still work to be done to make sure everyone can retire comfortably.
Yeah, for sure. Retirement security is a complicated issue. It's going to take everyone working together to solve it.
Well, we've learned a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
From the history of retirement plans to the latest innovations. As we wrap up, what are some key takeaways for our listener? What should they be thinking about?
I think the most important thing is to be proactive.
Okay, yeah.
Don't wait for someone else to plan your retirement for you. Start saving early, be consistent, and make smart decisions about your investments.
So, like, take control of your future. Don't just let it happen. Make it happen.
Exactly. And remember, retirement planning is not a one-time thing. It's something you have to keep working on. Stay informed, review your plans, and don't be afraid to make changes as you go.
Yeah, it's a journey, not a destination.
Very well said. And one final thought for you to ponder. As those old ways of thinking about retirement keep changing, what new models might we see in the future? Could we move towards a more community-based approach? Or maybe even something like micropensions? There's so many possibilities.
Wow, that's a great point. So much to think about. Stay curious, keep exploring, and be the boss of your own future. That's it for our deep dive on U.S. retirement plans.
Thanks for joining us.